received a vaccine. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything.
When making decisions, it's
Skyrizi.
Yep.
Consider how our choices will affect us for generations to come. Longview, Carolina is a gated community that emphasizes that long view with on-site gardens, miles of trails, mature.
I'm going to assume everybody can hear me
Yes, everybody.
Yeah, I can hear you.
because I'm not.
But you can't hear
It doesn't
yourself.
sound like it usually sounds. I don't hear myself.
Okay, so
I can hear you.
There should be a little
Okay.
knob somewhere near your stuff. Are you saying you can't hear me? Al can't hear me.
Can you hear her?
No, I can't. That's what I was saying. It's
Oh, well,
she hasn't asked me to
he
check
must,
1, 2 or
he
anything.
probably has a thing somewhere.
Turn this up.
Yeah.
Check.
Check.
I heard you
You hear me?
faintly.
Well, you need just need to turn it up.
Keep turning
It's-
it.
You should be able to turn it up.
Okay, there it goes.
Okay. All right.
I built this. This is my house, and this will always be my house. Now let's continue. Cause I love me some me. I love me some me. To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
And now, the Morgan Thomas Show.
Welcome in. It's Tuesday night. You know what that means. The Morgan Thomas Show on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar here in the Upcountry Fiber Studio, providing you a stronger connection. I'm your host, Morgan Thomas, Walt's best friend, here for 2 hours. So now you road ragers, if you're still out there on the road, hopefully you are being safe and traveling safe, whether you're going home, whether you're going to work, or whether you're maybe going out to eat. I hope you're safe. I hope you enjoy the show while you can here. Again, we're here 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday nights during football season, and there's still some football season to go because it's the postseason. Bowl season, Bowl Mania, if you will, is getting ready and amped up. And I just got an email from Ben Milstead that said, here's the pick'em list for the bowl contest. As you know, Walt's won like 15 years in a row. And I look at the list. I don't know really anything about these first up games. We're going to do it 1 week at a time, apparently, instead of all the bowls picking all at once. We're going to do it 1 week at a time. And so I've got to get ready for that. You know my theory. Don't submit it until Ben Milstead gets mad enough to demand it.
Is that how you decide?
I wait until it just annoys him just enough, and then I submit it. Of course, he publicly gives me lashings on air every time I forget to do that, which I don't forget. The thing is you got to wait until the very last minute, because you never know. That last minute of information could be the information that you needed to make the right pick. So that is my theory. That's how I'm doing it. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. I really want to talk about a little bit of everything. Patrick Mahomes and the controversial end to the football game this weekend. Riley Leonard has got a new home. Drake May, another big-time ACC guy. He's not going to be playing in the bowl game. I'm going to get Alan's opinion on that. By the way, Big Al here with me. Welcome in, Big Al.
Well, good to be noticed. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, there you are. There you are. Again, this is the Morgan Thomas Show. You can be a part of the show, even though it has my name on it. You can be a part of the show like Big Al. You could sit next to me. Or you could call in 864-654-7627. You can also text that same number, 864-654-7627, on the Adams & Co. Roofing text line if you are afraid to call in, which I don't know why you would be afraid to call in, but it's there for you. This is not just a show about me. It's a show about you as well. Also, over on YouTube and Twitter at The Morgan T Show. You can follow me there, get the passing charts and all those extra things like the roster management spreadsheets that I do. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Clemson going to the Gator Bowl. Got some thoughts on the Gator Bowl. Got some thoughts on practice. I don't know if you heard, Big Al, but they hired 2 new guys.
Heard all about it.
So we'll talk about that as well. Clemson Basketball, we've got to get them in because they're undefeated. One of the few undefeated teams still out there. Brad Brownell says, thank you very much.
Getting it done.
Says, where's the haters at now? That's what Brad's saying. Of course, it is still young in the season, early in the season. But I think Clemson Basketball is doing what they need to do. Not only are they beating difficult teams, but they're beating them away from home too. So they're really showing out. You want to know about a team that's really showing out? That game last night, baby. National champions, 4-star Clemson men's soccer team, baby.
Watched it. It was a great game.
And I'm telling you what, it was a great game. It was one that had me on the edge of my seat because it was a very physical game, Al.
Yeah, no doubt. And after that first goal, Notre Dame really started attacking, and it looked bleak there for a little while. They were getting a lot of shots on goal, and we were making a lot of good saves, playing great defense. So it was fun to watch.
Now, I'll tell you this. I think that the game overall, was a good game against Notre Dame, as Dabo Swinney kind of picked on Tim Beret today, that Clemson men's basketball and Clemson soccer has beaten Notre Dame, or excuse me, Clemson football and Clemson men's soccer has beaten Notre Dame this season. So Tim Beret got to be a little bit disappointed because that's where he came from.
Yeah.
But, all in fun there. Clemson has won its second title, national title in soccer in 3 years. Mm-hmm. So they're on a roll here. Coach Mike Noonan, really the team overall for the season showed resilience and just was a special group, not the highest seed by any means, came into it, but really showed. And almost, if it hadn't have been for that handball in the box,
right,
could have blanked them.
Yeah,
and I don't think they would have allowed a goal all tournament. I think that was the only goal.
Correct.
So definitely great on defense, great on offense there. I like how they work the offense through the wing, outside in. I played wing, so it's fun to see those guys much better than me, like thousands of times better than me. But one thing that I'll tell you, Al, is you mentioned it's a physical game. That's something that I never realized until I got till it was too late for me, is just how physical soccer is from above the waist. When I got into it late, and so I really didn't get the kind of training that a lot of these guys get trained. They start soccer, man. I have the CISA fields like 2 minutes from my house. I mean, there's thousands of these kids, hundreds and thousands of these kids out there trying to make it big. And they're there every day. I mean, it is like clockwork. I go, there's a trash dump next, and I let the trash out.
Mm-hmm.
I take the trash out, and there's always hundreds of moms and dads out there watching the hundreds of their kids out there.
Yeah.
So it's a big factory there, but that's the one thing is when you learn it from a young age and you kind of funnel into and you grow with the game as you get older, you realize you're supposed to use your feet, but there's a lot that goes on above the waist that makes it extremely physical. I thought Clemson was going to get into some trouble because, they were wearing their gloves. Notre Dame being the northern team, they weren't wearing any gloves. Mm-hmm. But Clemson chose to go with their gloves, and it kind of caused a lot of pulling to be more noticeable because of those gloves. I personally think.
Yeah, they got a hold of a lot of jersey. And look, I mean, it was a physical game yesterday. Look, when you're running full speed and you get clipped on the leg and crash into the ground, it's not fun, especially when it's that cold outside. So it was definitely physical. But I do need to get your take in soccer in general. But man, the flops. Come on, man.
It's just part of the game.
The overacting and the flops.
It actually hurts.
That's one of the things that gets soccer made fun of so much. And we saw it in the game yesterday too, some. But there was a lot of yellow cards being handed out. There was a lot of things going on. Clemson had a ton of fouls called against them in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the game, really. Some of it's theatrics. Some of it, I mean, it really does hurt, like a cleat on your shin.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, it is you don't realize how physical it is until you actually get out there. When you're playing at a high level, those guys are trying to hit you as hard as they are with their feet. They're trying to hit you with their hands too.
Yeah.
And their elbows. I remember the first time I ever played Hillcrest, and they had just a much bigger team than us. And I played at Westside. And I remember that game was kind of like my reality check game. They were much better than us, and they physically beat us up with their upper body, and I'm just like, why is this guy elbowing me and shoving me and basically checking me with his shoulder and then ripping at my arms and my leg and like getting me off balance. And I didn't realize that that's kind of what the professionals do. Like that's the next level of aggressiveness on the field. You may not see it from the television screen, but it is out there. And that game, man, that was a good example of that. Notre Dame was coming to play. They were playing extremely physical. And I think at the beginning, I think their game plan was to sit back and play defense. You noticed how Clemson had a lot of possession, and Audrey, my wife, was like, this is great. Clemson's got the ball all the time. I said, this could play into their plan here. Wear Clemson out passing the ball, stress them out mentally, having to think about where to pass all the time to when there's a lapse, and then they go on a break. Mm-hmm. And man, Notre Dame did it a couple of times. And there were, like you mentioned, Big Al, there were a couple of times where you were holding your breath. But ultimately, man, Brandon Parrish scored an amazing goal from, I think, maybe 30-something yards out. It kind of nicked off the guy, which those are the best because it just really, like the goalie made the right move.
He did.
But when it just barely tips off somebody's leg, it's the worst thing to happen for a goalie because you think it's on this one trajectory, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net and you look like a fool, But
gracious, all of a sudden soccer's involved and you're using words like trajectory. It's impressive.
And then obviously with the goal in the second half, Ousmane got the goal there. Clemson goes up 2-0, which in soccer is a big deal because 2-0 is kind of like, especially with the amount of time that they had left.
Right.
But the thing about soccer is, and Al, you've come to plenty of the games I've had, it's weird what happens when there is a big moment of action. It's like everybody gets a boost of energy and crazy stuff happens in a quick amount of time, in a short amount of time. So when that final or when that first goal for them happened, they went in and they grabbed the ball and they wanted to reset it quickly and start back over the game quickly because they wanted to carry over that momentum and that energy into hopefully another goal, which kind of like held your breath there for a while. Like, oh boy. And then they got that penalty at the very end. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it was for soccer. Now, plenty of soccer games can be boring as all get out. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I would much rather watch or play 1,000 soccer games than watch 1,000 soccer games. I mean, I love. Of that stuff, and it's no to watch it. Now I hear you watched Ted Lasso.
I did watch Ted Lasso.
You binge watched it.
I did in a couple of days. I had some surgery a week ago. We'll leave it at that. And and I was at home for a few days, and yeah, it was incredible. I thought it was a great show. Language was a little heavy for me, especially for the rest of the show and how it kind of put itself out there. But yeah, it was a great show, hilarious. I would recommend it to a lot of people.
Well, I'll tell you this: I stopped watching it.
Yep.
The first season was happy-go-lucky, aw shucks.
Yep.
A lot of people say, "Oh, it's kind of like Dabo Swinney, positivity."
That's right.
And it does give you that same vibe of Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
The aw shucks stuff, and the Dabo's, he was kind of a little bit too aw shucks. More than Dabo ever is, for sure. But I get it. It was funny. It was comedy. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of a new school Seinfeld, if you will. But it was kind of a mixture of that with Major League, right? Because the owner initially,
that's right,
she wants the team to fail.
Yeah. And
she brings him on because, spoiler alert, excuse me, this has been out for years, but spoiler alert. Right now, like spoiler alert. But she wants to
for Major League.
No, not. Yeah.
I started to say. I mean, that maybe.
No, not spoiler.
Okay.
Spoiler
that
alert for Ted Lasso.
Like 35 years ago.
Yeah, come on, man. Spoiler alert for
Can't see Major League.
Jobu.
You're really a shut-in.
Hey, that's back when Charlie Sheen wasn't. Well, we'll move on. But
Yeah.
Major Ted Lasso is a good show. I really like season 1 was a good show.
Yeah.
Season 2, it started to get serious for me. That's where I kind of took a step back. I was like, you know what? This is kind of stressing me out. At first, I was like, you know what? I got a bunch of problems at home, a bunch of problems at work, things that stress you out, right? Probably not problems really in the grand scheme of things, but first world problems,
That's
right?
right.
And so I'm like, I'm watching this show and it's just a relaxing show because it's just dumb funny, you know? I like off the top of my head where he's like, she's got an open door policy and he's like, why do you even need a door? You know?
It's
So-
good. You got to be quick for some of his jokes too.
stuff like that, you know? So, but then as it goes on into season 2, and I know in season 3, which I stopped watching,
Mhm.
it gets more serious. Like
I haven't seen
he has
season 3.
problems.
Yeah,
You know, everybody has problems.
that's right.
I don't want to show where everybody has problems. I want to show where everybody's just goofy and happy-go-lucky and life's good. That's what I want because it's an unwind show. It's a post-work show for me.
There you go.
You know, that's all it is. But to me, it got too serious. It got too real.
Okay, I enjoyed season 2. It was not near as good as season 1, but I enjoyed season 2 as well.
And they get success. They get more success as the season goes on. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of interesting there. But again, not to go on a Ted Lasso rant here, but to talk about the Clemson men's soccer team again, their 4th national championship. I mean, there's not many teams out there that have won 4. To get that 4th star is huge. To have a coach that has won 2 now is amazing. And so it's really exciting for Clemson going forward. And I know when you look at that roster, Big Al, young guys, youngins, still there. So it's not like this could be a one and done thing. They could continue this momentum on to multiple seasons. I know a lot of Clemson fans are excited about that. I mean, right now as a whole, Clemson is looking like a university that you can go to. Hey, you can go to for women's soccer. You can go to for men's soccer. You can go to for softball, baseball, and compete at the highest levels, not just be scrubs, like compete and get to deep into the playoffs. Okay. In football, in men's basketball now undefeated, you know, women's basketball just land a huge 5-star. A lot of things. Look it up. Gymnastics, packed house, Al. Did you see the video and the pictures of this?
I have not seen that yet.
I mean, any sport you want to play, pick it and pick orange because everything just seems so amazing right now at the university. So excited for that. Great win for Coach Mike Noonan there and that team. We're going to continue to talk about more things, Clemson, some other hot topics of the week as well. And obviously Dabo Swinney's press conference. And we heard from Matt Luke for the very first time and also kind of saw Chris Rumph in action for the very first time, or well, not for the very first time, but for the second time here at Clemson. We'll talk about that and much more after the break here on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar.
At last, stress-free internet to keep.
You're clear.
Walt, your bestie is very good, nipping at your heels. One soldier to another. Of course, Ramona had to prop him up, kind of like you. Walt is a scrub at picking. I'll take you and Ramona over him. Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. Walt's actually really good at the bowl pick'em. And Walt and I tied for 3rd in the overall pick'em. Now, not everybody can be Ramona, you know. Ramona did win. She was like dominating the pick contest. So she's just amazing. Sorry, Tim, but Notre Dame basketball stinks too. Morgan, what year did you go to West Side? I graduated 2007. No, this person said 07.
Okay.
Gymnastics Friday night. I was at gymnastics Friday night. My daughter loves gymnastics. We have season tickets. The atmosphere was great. The buzz is real. Dude, I'm loving that. I'm loving that.
That's what my girls do.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be going to some some meets, I should say, as well.
Awesome. Restless Waltz stuff. Let's see what's going on. Glad to find you here. Didn't see you show on Facebook. Yeah, for whatever reason, those of you who are on the stream right now, Facebook would not load. Like it would not let me stream to Facebook. Not really sure. Audio's crunchy. Some people said audio, lost audio, mic issues. So let's see. Here, I'll unplug it and plug it back in.
The best quality calls and data anywhere you are. No one can do that except Boost. Switch today at boostinfinite.com or call 855-55-BOOST. See boostinfinite.com for terms and conditions.
The just overall show was the performances were great and the buzz was real.
So was this an actual meet or was this like an exhibition thing?
I mean, I think it was just like a start of an exhibition.
Okay. Well, you're talking about it. I thought you might know.
I mean, I just saw pictures of it. I didn't go to the thing.
Too much. I just kind of I'm looking at the form. I don't, deduct it off for doing things wrong, whether it's wobble or their toes aren't pointed or their legs are bent or something like that. Obviously they have the 4 events. They have the vault and the bars and the beam and the floor. And my girls tend to dislike the vault. I think most people's least favorite event is the vault. So if any gymnastics people love the vault, they can get in on the text line and tell us otherwise. But most people don't like the vault, and the girls don't care for that as much either. They do love the bars. I mean, swinging around the bars. Come on, everybody's afraid of the beam a little bit, but they seem to enjoy it. Floor and bars seem to be the popular ones.
Wait, the vault is the one where you like run full speed.
Correct.
And you jump on that spring.
Yeah.
And then you have to like vault yourself up into the air. Is that how that goes?
Interesting that you vault yourself up in the air, and that's, believe it or not, where they came with the name.
No, that's not how they.
100%.
Wow. Okay, well. And then you said you had the bars.
Yeah.
That's the thing you swing around on.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah. No,
Can't do the vault. Can't do the swing. Big Al, you can do a backflip.
Yeah.
I can do that into a pool. Barely. I've been working on it. You know what? I never did a backflip until I was 33 years old.
I didn't do mine until I was around then as well.
I guess I was afraid of it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how you can be afraid. So let me tell you how I figured out how to do it. So my father-in-law, this was like during COVID, we were at a friend's pool and the whole family was there. My father-in-law, 62, I guess, at the time. He does a backflip off the diving board.
Loving it.
And I'm like, okay, I can't let. And my oldest brother-in-law did one as well. And I'm like, well, I can't let all the nieces and nephews and my own daughter and my wife see these two older guys do it and me not try. I'm the youngest.
Sure.
So Dave's like over in his 40s and he did one, but he's very athletic. And then, Steve has always been very athletic. I think he's like 0% body fat. I mean, he's like buff like Xavier Thomas. So I get up there and I just completely botch it like 12 times in a row. So you know what I did, Al? I went on YouTube.
Not shocked.
I went on YouTube. I learned everything. I got an MBA from Clemson. I've learned almost everything from YouTube. I got the piece of paper that says I'm smart or I finished something that I started. And then I have YouTube to actually teach me like life skills.
Sure.
So I go on YouTube and there's like this 7-year-old kid on there that has all these videos on how to do all kinds of flips into a pool. And he teaches you how to do a backflip into a pool.
That's kind of interesting because you would think it's just, flip backwards.
Well, you would think that, but the problem is, how do you do that?
You gotta make sure you clear the edge there.
Exactly, because if I kill myself, then that would be the worst possible scenario, right?
Yeah.
Which is the part of the problem is thinking you're going to kill yourself, like thinking you're going to die or you're going to hit your head on something. Well, that's half the battle right there. It's just not being scared.
Yeah,
that's what my father-in-law said. I said, man, how are you doing this? And you're like 60 something years old. He said, I'm not scared. And he looked me straight in the eye when he said it. And you know what that meant?
And then he was calling you scared.
Yeah. That meant my manhood was on the line.
In question.
I mean, that was like ultimate Wild West standoff. Like,
yeah.
How come you can do this and I can't? Because I'm not scared.
I don't think I would ask him in particular.
Boy, I'm not scared. So I get on here and the kid's like, so the trick is, Ramona, you just have to do kind of like teach yourself how to do, they have a name for it, a necking is what they call it. So like you just kind of fall on your neck. You fall on your head, basically. So you just throw your hands back and you can kind of try to do a handstand backwards. And you just have to fall on your head over and over and over. Once you do that, you realize, hey, this is not going to kill me. So I just need to slap my knees. So you throw your hands back like you're going to do a handstand, then you slap your knees.
Yeah.
And then that momentum of slapping your knees like spins you around. So after I did that for about 10 or 15 times, then I started trying to slap my knees. And before you know it, I was doing it like it was like nothing. Like I had been doing it my whole life. 33 years old. I waited. I was a late bloomer when it came to doing a backflip. Now I can't do a gainer. I can barely do a cannonball, but I can do a backflip. I can do a front flip too. And I can do a nasty belly flop, like really good. Like I'm pride. I take pride in that. It hurts.
Proud of that, huh?
Yeah, splits me. But anyways, I mean, I can teach you more. This is why you listen to the show, for me to teach you how to
look up YouTube.
So when you got out of the swimming pool, you didn't see your father-in-law taking your wife's suitcases to his car?
Let's get out of here. I knew he should have married that guy. By the way, wifey texts me and she's like, what are you talking about? Bunch of problems at home. Did I say problems at home?
You did.
Oh, what I meant by problems at home, there was not problems at home.
Sure.
What I meant by problems at home is
you work at home, right?
I work at home. Yeah.
There you go.
Like I meant like work.
That's
I meant like the vacuum cleaner gets clogged, I meant
course.
like the dog needs to be let out. That's my problems.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I meant like, the light
Well,
bulb's got to
don't
be.
describe problems like that because those aren't.
I said first world problems, did I not?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's right.
I said that.
That's right.
I didn't mean serious problems. No, but I have a wonderful life. And you know why it's so wonderful? Because I have a great backbone and support system. I have the glue,
That's right.
and her name is Audrey.
And she's already turned off the radio.
Nah, she probably not listening. Yeah, that's true. I lost my my point there. But anyways, all right. So there's some things that I wanted to discuss, sports related, which, you know, being athletic is sports related. But the biggest thing that I saw this week that I did want to get your thoughts on, 864-654-7627. Tell me what you think about this Patrick Mahomes situation. I mean, he comes out. I don't know if I can be the one to blast him here because believe it or not, I have gotten to arguments with referees from time to time. In church basketball, you know, it can get very heated.
It can.
And I may or may not have gotten into some altercations with some referees. I have maybe pulled a Patrick Mahomes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe Patrick Mahomes pulled a Morgan T. You know, maybe he didn't know it, but maybe he did. So, you know, sometimes in games, people make mistakes. Sometimes they make mistakes that are penalties they're not allowed to make. Well, you know, in a football game, you can't line up offsides.
That's right.
So I don't understand all of the theatrics that we got from Patrick Mahomes, one of the best players, the biggest role model there, quarterback, Super Bowl champ, multiple time Super Bowl champ. And man, he just really showed his butt. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was an exciting play where he threw it to Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce just randomly got it to Kadarius Toney, my goodness, he didn't drop that ball. I mean, he's going to drop 90% of them, but he didn't drop that one. Even though, as Walt mentioned, he was kind of like moping and crying on his way to the sideline and then realized the play was going on. So it didn't seem like it was by design at all. And we're sitting here and we're saying, okay, well, that was an amazing play. But I didn't think it was like, oh my goodness, this is a miracle play that just cannot possibly have a penalty. Call it back. I mean, it was a lateral. Wow, it happened to almost win the game, but it was just a lateral. It was a backwards pass. I mean, when do we not see backwards passes? I mean, especially from the Kansas City Chiefs of all people, they do trick plays almost every other play, it seems like. So, I mean, they spin around, ring around the rosy. So, I mean, okay, it was an impromptu play. It was, you know, ad lib there. They ran it in for a touchdown, and man, he just really just whined and complained until he saw the replay. And they said, well, he didn't check, but then some people on Twitter are saying, no, he did check. Look, he turns, but you know, Tony, like, he does do the little turn, but it was like he was doing it out of habit. Mm-hmm. He wasn't actually checking with the umpire on the sideline, with the side judge there. He wasn't actually like pointing. You know how they like get up and then they point and they look and then they move. Mm-hmm. He kind of like just like lackadaisically just kind of like pointed and then turned like within a split second. There's no way the referee could have even given him any kind of signal, yay or nay, because he didn't give a chance to even look at it. So while he did kind of do that glance, it really wasn't, to me, an actual checking with the referee there. So I think it was a good call. I don't understand all the frustration with it. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes is more or less frustrated because his wide receivers are terrible. He's lost Tyreek Hill. All he has is Travis Kelce. And really, they're losing games now. They're losing much more games than they used to. So they're struggling. And they allowed the Buffalo Bills, who was a 6-6 team, to keep their playoff hopes alive there.
Yeah.
So I think it's a frustration as a season as a whole. And with the weapons that he has, they're not like amazing weapons at wide receiver for him. So what are your thoughts on it? Did you feel like it was warranted that he got that frustrated? I mean, hey, again, I'm not the one that really should be saying anything because, hey, I've been frustrated at referees too.
Well, maybe he's frustrated they're talking more about Taylor Swift than they are about him. I don't know. I did not see the play. I saw the still frame of the shot, and the guy looked, like he was offsides. It wasn't by, a yard or anything like that. But, He looked like he lined up off sides, and I haven't seen the full clip, so I don't know if he, my opinion on whether he checked or didn't check with the ref or anything like that. But offensive players have such an advantage in the game of football, especially now. Anyways, the offense they always make rules to help offenses.
Oh, quarterbacks of all,
of course, and so I mean if they're going to penalize it, I'm glad they penalized it when they do something wrong. So I'm all for it.
What if he was like, you can't call that?
Yeah, you can.
You
Because it
can't
happens.
call that. I'm like, it's offsides. It's a call everybody would call.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't call that? It wasn't like it was like holding or something or offensive pass interference or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on here. You can't call that. That was just way too overblown for me. He was very frustrated in a moment. Again, I think it all goes back to the fact that he's frustrated as a whole, that his season's not as good as the past couple of seasons.
Sure. Fair enough.
So, some Adams & Co. Roofing text line texter gets in and says, this is 9833, the Taylor Swift curse. Now,
Yep.
I don't think they've lost. Have they lost every game she's been at? I don't think so. I think they've won some.
I would have no idea.
You don't know?
No.
Oh, you don't know? Well, I mean, the Taylor Swift curse, maybe it is. Maybe that's what they that's what they get because everybody's so distracted by her.
That's right.
Can you imagine, Al, being that famous that you cannot go to Walmart?
I cannot. You probably can, I'm sure, but I can't.
I mean, I go to Walmart, guys like 16 aisles down. Hey, Morgan on the Mickey Show.
Yep.
No, I don't get that.
You get Morgan on
probably
the Mickey Show?
That's probably more Walt.
Morgan on the Mickey Show? That's what you get? Why don't you get Morgan on the Morgan Thomas Show?
Nobody's up this late. Most people are in bed or taking, getting their
Nobody's
getting
up
ready for
this
tomorrow.
late, but they're up at 6 a.m. to 9. Okay, whatever you say.
Yeah, I have my own show. You don't have to say the Mickey Show.
You yell back.
Yeah.
It's the Morgan Thomas Show.
You obviously are not
I
a true
found
fan.
Cry for my second hour intro.
One place that doesn't have a Taylor Swift curse, and that's the Morgan Thomas Show. We do not have the Taylor Swift curse. We have the Morgan puts his foot in his mouth curse.
Yeah.
That's what I experienced last segment.
A curse and a blessing.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what? My life, this is me 24/7. You're just getting 2 hours of it and you probably can't handle it, but just imagine living with this.
I've been there.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we got more to go. This is a 2-hour show. The Morgan Thomas Show here on the night shift. If you're still up, if you're driving, if you're going to work, if you're coming home from work, or if you're going to dinner, hopefully you continue because we got more stuff to talk about. We're going to get into Dabo Sweeney, his comments, and the 2 brand new coaches on the Clemson staff that are now with the team and practicing. Much more right after this.
EC Sports is introducing Neuro.
You're clear.
I'm on the dive. MT. I was on the dive team in my teens and could do a 3.5 gainer and 1.5 twist off a 10-meter platform. Hit my head one time on the platform, and guess what? Done. No more flipping. Even after the concussion and 8 stitches, I'm not scared, but I get the yips when it comes to backflips. They up Morgan, although most
drunk past. They're up. They're still up tonight.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Morgan invites Taylor Swift at home. It sounds like problems. Or Morgan invites Taylor Swift to show. Sounds like problems at home. Morgan, this is too funny. Necking in my day involved. Oh, a girl in the back seat. Okay, yeah. I guess that's also another word for kissing. It is burning up, Ramona. I got this hoodie on, and I'm about to lose
Having
it.
a hot flash again.
You get too worked up, is what it is.
It is so hot, man. Sweat.
Give me a call at 864-467-8738 and check out our website, insure-u.com. You can check to see if your doctor's in the network or compare plans side by side. One size doesn't fit all. Let's make sure you have the right plan for you. I'm Guy, the insurance guy. My company is The Insurance Source. And what we do is simple. We make health insurance easy.
You know, I brought a monster, but there is no way that would be advised to drink at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Morgan.
See.
Clemson fans, this is former Clemson Tiger.
Don't forget to fix it back where it was when you go back there, okay? The air, if you turn
Oh,
it
I didn't touch it.
Oh, you didn't? No, you decided to go the drink route?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works in over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hey y'all, Robert Kraft here, owner of Clemson Sock Shop, located inside New Teeth Boutique on Bolton Square. Whether you're looking for funny socks, funky socks, practical socks, or nostalgic socks, we've got you covered. We even carry exclusive socks.
She's like, I can't. She said, I can't wait to hear you go in depth about all your problems at home. Yep, it's gonna be a milkshake night.
We need to talk.
You should play. Welcome back into the Morgan Thomas Show on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar. We're in the final segment of hour number 1, 7:45 here. Up, we've got the Adams & Co. Roofing text line, 864-654-7627. And we also got open phone lines. You can get in and call that number if you want to be a part of the show. One of the things that I did want to touch on when it comes to Clemson football is those 2 new coaches that are on the staff now and that are hitting the ground running. Now, a lot of people debated over whether or not they would practice and coach and be a part of the bowl practices that are coming up, whether or not it would be some maybe interim coaches in there as they kind of get their feet wet or get ready. But no, both coaches, Chris Rumph, Matt Luke, are part of the team. They're coaching, they're getting involved, and they're on the recruiting trail calling young men out there in high school to get them to gauge their interest and to start the ground, hit the ground running. I like that. I like what I hear from that. And I didn't know how they were going to do it at first. I didn't really know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they had an interim, or whatever. But I think with the amount of time that you have, because the game is not until December 27th, I think. Right?
I thought it was 29th.
29th, December 29th, on a Friday. You still got a ton of time. There's a couple of weeks for that. So you've got a ton of time to get practices in. And yes, while Dabo Swinney mentioned they may not know every single terminology or how every single thing is ran here at the university and at the Clemson football program, but they do know what practices are like. I mean, in general, and they know how they want to coach, and they know they may not know all the players' names, but they know how to get the most out of their players. I mean, these guys are born and long time, very, very experienced coaches, both of them. Mm-hmm. So to me, it surprises me none that they both hit the ground running.
Yeah, 100%. I think these are going to be 2 absolutely huge hires for Clemson. We've talked, a long time, several years, in fact, about needing some help on the offensive line. And I think Luke is the guy who can get in here and really get Clemson some big time players in that regard. And of course, Rumph, we all know what Rumph can do. a lot of people had talked about the lack of intensity some of our ends have had, particularly I think Miles Murphy drew a lot of ire in that regard. As a matter of fact, an immensely talented player and honestly didn't quite live up to the billing like everybody thought he would here at Clemson. And I think a little more intensity would have done him some good. I think some coaching from Coach Rumph would do him some good. He's getting after it in the first practice he's been at. There's some clips out there, I believe, on the X-verse or whatever you want to call it. And so it's been fun to watch, and hopefully they'll get Clemson back to where they want to be.
They're going to be going to Jacksonville to play the game, so you can get a 2-for-1 there. One trip. You still got to buy 2 tickets, but you go down Friday, watch the game, Clemson versus Kentucky in the bowl game, Gator Bowl, and then you can wait and stay there till Sunday and watch the Jaguars play the Panthers.
Okay.
So it's a pretty exciting weekend. I know the Clemson Jags are going to be out there. I'm sure you'll see them. Dabo mentioned also, because they'll be practicing during Christmas, that Santa Claus is going to be there as well.
All right.
Do you do Santa Claus, Big Al?
I do Santa Claus.
You do Elf on the Shelf?
Negative.
You don't do Elf on the Shelf?
No, I don't.
You sound like you're an Elf on the Shelf hater.
I am a hater.
What is that?
So Elf on the Shelf is this thing that you sit. I mean, I don't do it personally, but it's this elf that gets into mischief. I think you do it 25 days.
I really don't know.
I don't really know, but you do. The idea is that you have this little doll elf. Okay. And he, does certain things and checks up on you and makes sure that you're, naughty or nice and all that stuff. And and like the parents just go all out. Like they have him mess with stuff around the house it's like looks like the elf did it, but obviously the mom and dad did it. It's almost similar to like a tooth fairy or something. It's like when the kids are asleep, then the mom and dad do this.
This isn't real. Anybody listening out there with kids?
No, this is all real. This is all real.
I know, but you're going kind of like the tooth fairy,
Yeah,
the mom and dad are doing it.
This is the day for spoiler alerts.
Okay, sorry. Spoiler alert. This is what you do. I don't do it.
It's a thing. It's just a thing, like
it's a thing
Santa
you do.
Leaving Santa cookies or
like
that.
So you know what my mom used to do?
Yeah, no.
Well, it wasn't mom. It was Santa.
Okay.
Santa used to when I was a kid, the one time where I knew like this is like the thing is she left like a Rudolph like bell.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, you got to be kidding me here. Like, this is the best thing's ever happened to me. I didn't even care about any of my presents. I thought that Rudolph, had left its bell. And I was like, we got to get it back to Rudolph. I was like freaking out. Like, but
did you get it back to Rudolph?
No, obviously not.
No.
But anyways,
they were
Santa will be there.
Darn, I'm sorry that.
Also on the Clemson offensive line, they've got Matt Luke there, and when you listen to the players like Blake Miller, who are there, you hear them talk about excitement and energy that's on the group. So the defensive line and the offensive line, you hear that, and it kind of it's what you want to hear. You want to hear that, get that new perspective, and you want to see those players. Because, they've gotten to know Thomas Austin for this whole time. They probably were recruited by him. And so there's probably some bittersweet moment there. But to have a new coach come in, they know it's a business. That's what they mentioned. Hey, it's a business.
Yep.
It's the unfortunate side of the business where you have like a former team captain, a guy who, gave everything to Clemson as a player and also as a coach. Now you're moving on to Matt Luke, who is, I think, a good pickup because he has all this experience and knowledge behind him to kind of really, be able to help the group as a whole. I think one thing that I really like that he said is that we're not trying to be a bunch of 5 pennies. We're trying to be a whole nickel.
I like it.
You feel like Clemson had a problem with that? Like they weren't playing as a unit on the offensive line?
Yeah, we constantly heard, over the course of the season, it's just one guy not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's hard to be a nickel when you got one guy, one penny running rogue over there. And it just happened to be constant throughout the season. We heard a lot of that in press conferences. We heard it over and over. So hopefully we can get to playing more like a unit. I think Matt Luke's the guy to get him there. He's got the, the coaching experience. He's got the pedigree. He's got the recruiting chops. And I think that'll bear out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I like to see it because, you cannot substitute experience. That's for sure. When it comes to offensive line of all places, when I watched the games that were of the championship week, that's the one thing I saw was like, wow, I do feel like Clemson has a lot of these similar players, but what they're lacking is the protection from the quarterback and being able to give him just a little bit more time, and not even just time, having more of a solid pocket. I think I mentioned this in the past, Al, is just like having a stable pocket to where it's not like one side is good and the other side is collapsing, or like one player collapses and the other four are good. Because if one player collapses, again, it goes back to those 5 pennies. If one player collapses, then the whole pocket might as well collapse, because, you're running for your life at that point as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I did see those championship level teams go out there and they were able to kind of set up a pocket. I don't know if there's like an actual terminology for it, but it seemed like there was a nice protective bulb, if you will.
Love it.
Does that sound right?
It doesn't, but I like it.
Protective shield? I don't know. It sounded like a nice little protective U-ish C looking. I don't know. Anyway, so I think that
it was okay the first time you said it.
So some sort of shape.
With you. And now you're like way over somewhere.
I'm trying to figure it out. But, I think that it really will help the offensive line. I'm excited to see what they can do in the bowl game against Kentucky. I think this will be a difficult matchup for them. I think it'll be a hard-fought game, as Dabo mentioned as well. They have a ton of players who have decided to play for this game.
Yeah.
Clemson has some players that have decided to move on, which is okay. But still, it's going to be a little bit different there. You're going to see some fresh faces out there. We've heard Antonio Williams is out practicing again. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting. You might even have Tink Kelly back as well, talking about him as well, because they don't have a ton of secondary guys, of cornerbacks. Dabo Swinney mentioned that they're kind of lacking in the cornerback room right now.
Yep.
So they're trying to, basically they need me because I have 3 more years. I can, if I can use my feet. But anyways, I think that Clemson is in for a fight with Kentucky.
Sure.
They're a team that's going to want to beat them and going to want to show what they can do out there. And I do feel like that Kentucky has a good threat there with their running back group. But I feel like that even Clemson, with all their flaws that they've had this season and frustrations, that they are the better team overall. I think going into the game, they should be treated as the better team. I think they should go in and attack it as the better team and show the national world what they can do against another SEC opponent here. I think it's a good matchup for them. I think, as Dabo Swinney mentioned, right now there's only 3 teams that have 8 or more wins for the past decade. And if they get to 9, there's only going to be Clemson and Alabama.
Yeah.
So this is in a league of their own, because it's not easy to win games.
No.
So Al, do you feel like confident going into this game, especially with the new coaches?
Do I feel confident? No, I don't feel confident. I don't think we've really felt confident in a game all year, really. It's just kind of been an up and down type season. We have ended on a good note, won the last 4 games. And you hope you're kind of maintaining that level and maintaining all that optimism and the improvement going forward and against Kentucky. But like you said, you got the players opting out. You're not really sure who's going to be available. And the health of the guys that are available, you're just not sure. And this is a running team. Kentucky's a running team. Like you mentioned, they don't throw the ball a lot. They're going to run right at you. And that's one of, Clemson's strength is the run defense. And of course it's their defense in general, but we're going to be without Trotter, and Trotter was a big part of that. So that could be that could pose some issues, but I think the other guys are going to be able to fill in and make sure that they don't run all over us a la Notre Dame last season or something like that. So it's going to be a fun matchup. I believe again, anytime you have the ACC SEC thing angle to play, it's kind of fun to watch. But I do think Clemson should be the favorite going in. What's the line on that game? Do we know?
Good question. I don't have it up.
I should know the answer, but
I mean, aren't you the betting guy?
I used to be.
Let's see. So Clemson, Kentucky, 12 p.m. And you're looking at right now 4.5 points to Clemson.
Okay. All right.
It's the favorite there, Jacksonville. So 12 p.m. game, over under 46.5. How do you feel about that? I don't know much about over and under here.
So we're
I would
going
probably
under.
say under.
I'm going under as well.
Now, according to the matchup predictor on ESPN, 66.1% chance for Clemson to win the game. They'll be facing off against Devin Leary, a familiar foe there.
Yep.
23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,440 yards total for him. I do feel like it'll be interesting to see another thing that is kind of like people just really want to know about Will Shipley.
Yeah. Yeah.
He kind of mentioned that he wasn't going to say anything. He was asked about it today. He said, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm going to let him say his thing. But do you feel like it's some positivity that he might get another chance here? I mean, considering he's going to play in the bowl game, I mean, you have so many people opting out nowadays.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation for sure. I didn't expect. I don't think a lot of people expected Will Shipley to come back, and of course, obviously, nothing is official yet. We don't really know what he's going to do, but I think the fact that he's legitimately torn is kind of a neat thing. I'm glad he's playing in the bowl game. Obviously, there have been times where he hasn't done the things he's wanted to do on the field. We had some fumbling issues and whatnot, but it's going to be a good thing for him to get back in the game, and hopefully, he decides to return to Clemson next year.
We got more Clemson to talk about, Gator Bowl updates, and Clemson recruiting as well. This has been hour number 1 of the Morgan Thomas Show here on Tuesday night on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar. We'll be right back after this.
WCCPF.
You're clear.
I'm nearing 60 years old and you ruined it for me. God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ramona is scolding me.
Yeah, because during 3 to 7, we have people with kids in the car, and they're always saying, "Don't say."
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Rookie.
I just received this note from a customer. I know you might know this, but I have to reiterate that you have the best team.
The night shift. Not that late though. People could be out at dinner.
Why we do what we do. We get the opportunity to help people. We love what we do. There's literally thousands of companies in the upstate that are in the insurance field.
6th best team in the ACC versus the 10th best team in the SEC. I kind of like the SEC better. What?
2 years in a row. I'm Guy, the insurance guy. My company is the insurance source. And what we do is simple.
3 spoilers in hour number 1.
Great Southern Homes is pleased to announce home site availability in the beautiful Cross Creek Golf Club community in Seneca. Home sites are located on cul-de-sacs and streets with attractive backyard views and in close proximity to club amenities like a community pool, restaurants, wedding and event venue, and designed golf course with 5 sets of tees for a wide range of golfers. Close to Clemson, shopping and healthcare, Lake Kiwi, and the majestic Blue Ridge Mountains. Visit GreatSouthernHomes.com today for more information.
So our elf on the shelf took a bath in the took a bubble bath in a bowl of marshmallows last night.
I saw that. I've never heard of this elf on the shelf at all. Interesting.
So it's Santa's Scout Elves. Excuse me here. So it's a book too. Started in 2005. So
it's a book also?
Yeah, it's a picture book.
So he's supposed to like.
The book tells of a Christmas-themed story written in a rhyme, explains how Santa Claus knows who's naughty or nice. It describes an elf visiting from Thanksgiving to Christmas Eve, after which they return to the North Pole until the next season. And the elf keeps a keepsake box that features hardbound picture book of a small elf. The story was inspired by a family tradition. So basically, the elf checks on you.
And then writes you out.
He's a rat.
He writes you out. Okay.
I don't trust that elf.
There is that movie named The Troll.
Once everyone goes to bed, the scout elf flies back to the North Pole to report to Santa on the activities, bad or good. Before the family wakes up each morning, the scout elf flies back and hides. And there's a new hiding spot every morning.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a game of hide and go seek. Where's the elf?
You're supposed to find the elf?
Yeah, you got
Is
to
that
find the elf,
deal?
and they'll be in like a fun spot.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Before I ruin it for everyone in the upstate.
I'm glad I'm an adult.
God. You know what? Could it be anybody else?
No.
I mean, it has to be me. It had to have been me.
I know.
Of course,
Obviously,
I would
obviously,
blab
Mom
stuff.
and Dad, I'm like, well, okay. 7 before 8
My
o'clock.
mom, though, she did do that reindeer bell, and I believed it. I was.
Oh yeah.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of the Morgan Thomas Show here on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar. As I apologize to the entire upstate here for my big mouth. As Ramona scolds me during the break.
Well,
Put the belt down, Ramona. Put the belt down. We continue our discussion on Clemson football and other things. Imagine, Al, that there's a really highly talented high school football player.
Mm-hmm.
He's a running back in the state of South Carolina. He's considered one of the best players in the state right now. He recently gets an offer from Clemson University and quickly decides he's going to become a Tiger and commit to head coach Dabo Swinney after he offered him on the spot. So he got a big time offer. Now, this guy that I'm talking about, Marquise Henderson. He goes by Queese Henderson over on huddle.com. You can check out his film. I posted it. I shared it over on Twitter at The Morgan T Show. Henderson had a great junior season in high school, rushing for over 2,300 yards and 37 total touchdowns. Was a significant role in his team's success this past season at Belton Honeypath.
Mm-hmm.
Big Al, when I watched the film of this guy, I mean, he is what you would call the home run hitter. He is, this guy that just blasts out of a cannon. And he's doing it in the spread style offense, whether it's to the outside or in between the A, B, C gap. It is big time. I mean, he really can take it to the house anytime he gets the ball. I like what I see from this new pickup. Now, this is, again, 2025. So he will have to go through and finish his senior season there at Belton Honeypath. Right now, a 3-star overall, 4th best player in the state of South Carolina, and 5'10", 170. Had 15 offers from teams like Clemson, Appalachian State, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Vanderbilt, North Carolina State, Liberty as well. So big time guy. I love this pickup for Clemson. Obviously, we won't see him until he's a freshman in 2025. But CJ Spiller, for as much he got beat up the first year or so, he was kind of getting his feet wet, getting used to everything, getting started as a recruiter, because he's one of those coaches. Oh, he's just a former player, right? I get it. But you know what? CJ has really built up this group. And he is starting his momentum in the running back recruiting. I like what I'm seeing here. I like how he's bringing on this group of young guys, because you've got Jarvis Green, Jay Hayes, you've got Easy Omume, you've got Gideon Davidson, and you've got now this guy, Marquise Henderson. I like him.
So here's the thing.
Okay, tell me the thing.
I haven't seen Marquise Henderson's film yet. I've heard good things.
You're not going to be negative?
No, absolutely not. I'm going to be negative to you because he's not coming in as a running back.
What?
I think they're kind of checking him out for the slot receiver / DB type role, kind of a la Tink Kelly.
So they're gonna, but he's not gonna be a running back.
I don't. It's not that he can't be a running back, but I think we took him as an athlete. Is I believe what I read somewhere. So I believe he's coming.
That's how they would take me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. 100%. Absolutely. Placeholder, something like that. But yeah,
you have to be athletic.
He's going to be he's going to be one of those guys. He's really dynamic with the ball in his hands. From what all I've heard, like I said, I still got to watch the film on this kid. I have we have a guy we know, Matt Mulkey, who went to BHP. So he loves talking about the Bears, and we were listening to a lot of their playoff stuff when they got beat by Daniel. I think Henderson actually fumbled like on the 1 yard line, and that's how Daniel won the game. But he had a great game, and he's had an unbelievable season. So I think this is a huge pickup for Clemson. I think it's one of those guys where, he might not have all the big name offers like the Alabamas and the Ohio States and the Georgias, but he is a very good player. He's a local player. He's one of the kids that usually does really well at Clemson.
Yeah, somebody, how important is it to get up a local guy like this? I mean, does it matter? I mean, Clemson is a national brand now. Yep. Does it still matter to recruit those local guys?
I think so. Absolutely. I think you need it now more than ever. You need guys that want to be at Clemson and they grew up Clemson fans, and will have a degree of loyalty to a school for sure, or at least you would think so.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get used at running back, that's okay. But what if he can get used in the special teams world of like kick return, punt return? Because it seems like Clemson has kind of had a gap there in that explosive type player. They've had good players who have good hands that can be possession type guys, but they haven't had those guys that could really flip the field and maybe even score on you.
Yeah, I'm all for seeing that for sure.
Now, I know the world of college football has changed from the Jacoby Ford, CJ Spiller days because of where they line it up and also where they allow you to fair catch it. Mm-hmm. And then where they place it at the 25, a lot of times it is mathematically smarter to just take it, and not even attempt to do it.
Right.
I actually, when it comes to kickoffs, I actually like the way the XFL did it. Do you remember how they did it?
The everybody's running thing?
Well, they couldn't, they couldn't run. The kickoff team could not run, could not get a running start. So they had to wait until the ball was caught before then they could also run.
Okay.
So it allowed for the play to get set up a little bit better, and it stopped from somebody just immediately getting hit when they get caught.
Yeah.
And or like somebody going full speed while the guy's just assessing the area.
Yeah.
So I did like the way the XFL did it. But
they were allowed to get the running start like a wide receiver was on offense, right? I feel like they could kind of come in motion and go towards the line.
The kicking team could not pass.
This is not kicking anymore, Morgan. I said on offense.
Oh, no. Yeah. So the receiving team.
No.
What? I'm talking about special teams.
I know you are.
Kickoffs.
So I said they all get a running start, but I was confusing, I think, with offense where the wide receivers were able to get at least one of them was able to get a running start in their route.
That's like arena football.
Is that right?
I think so. Where you get like one guy running.
I don't know. I don't watch the rest of them. I think I've seen it once or twice, as I'm browsing channels. That's why I'm asking.
Oh boy, what a show. Yep. What a show. This is great. I'm ruining.
You ruin everything.
I'm ruining everything here. Anyways, I think that it's a great pickup for Clemson. I mean, obviously this guy, he seems to have that home run ability, that untouchable speed, that second level speed. Again, I mean, when I watch this film, I'm like, dude, this guy's a running back. I mean, he's obviously playing running back, and maybe they can use him there, but maybe they can use him as other positions as well. Do you feel like it's better? I know a lot of times they say, oh, you should focus on one position. Do you feel like that is the same thing when it comes to like this kind of skill player, or does it not matter? Because I know the same thing with Tink Kelly. It's like, oh, well, he should just play one side of the ball, focus on one position, or not. But now, hey, he could play both sides and be a factor.
Yeah, I don't really care as long as you're helping the team, doing what you can to help Clemson football. I think that's what they're going to do, and anything to get them on the field. I don't think they might have a preference in mind, but I believe they're going to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, and I also, like I said, I think it's good for a local guy to get in here. Obviously, that's a big time talent at his high school there at BHP. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do as a senior. He still has one more year to go of football at the high school level. So 2024 will be his senior year, and then 2025, hopefully, if everything works out, he'll be moving on to Clemson to play there as a freshman. Now, another player that I wanted to touch on was that of the 2024 recruiting class, Big Al. Dabo mentioned it. He didn't. You know how he does. He doesn't mention a specific player or anything, but we kind of know who's on the board,
right?
When you go and look at the sites, even if it's a free site, you can see kind of who's on the board. But Dabo mentioned that they are still looking for a linebacker in this 2024 recruiting class. It looks like of the linebackers that are out there, they've offered 6. They've offered Sammy Brown, Bradley Shaw, Aaron Childs, CJ Jackson, Wyatt Simmons, and Drew Woodaz. They've got Drew Woodaz, and that's Wade Woodaz's younger brother.
Yep.
And then they've got Sammy Brown, 5-star guy from Jefferson, big time, 12th best player in the country, according to 24/7 Sports. And then the last one that's undecided that they have listed as warm, 6'1", 216, top 100 player in the country, Hoover, Alabama, Bradley Shaw. Hoover in one of those historic high schools there. Again, 4-star overall guy. What do you think about him? He seemed to be, was that who he was probably hinting to as we're in a good spot? You think they got a good developed relationship with him? It's all about relationships, right?
Yeah. I would imagine that's the guy he's talking about. And we don't really know, what's going on with him yet. It's been kind of quiet on that front for a while. So hopefully Clemson is in good shape there. They could certainly use another body in that room. And Shaw seems to be a good player. Again, it's one of those, Got to look at the film, got to really break it down and see what they're all about. He's a kid from Alabama. Clemson seems to do well with those types of players.
Yeah, Dabo's from there, and so he has some experience there. And I know that the group will be able to recruit there for sure. He seems like a guy he's got All-American Bowl under his name. He's got Alabama Mississippi All-Star Game under his name as well. So he seems like a guy who has been recognized on a greater level. That's the first thing you want to look at. His height and weight combo there is pretty good. 6'1", 6'2" is what you kind of want to look for. 220-ish, give or take. That's perfect coming right out of high school. I see his film. Now, he has, on huddle.com, he has certain things where his junior year, this guy just finished up his senior year. So he will be a freshman wherever he goes in 2024. But he just finished up his senior year, and his junior film, you can see a lot of him just being a guy that's just like a magnet to the football, no matter what kind of play it is, whether it's an inside zone or an off tackle run. He just seems to be there, and I see him have experience at middle linebacker, outside linebacker. Now his senior year film, he hasn't put together a compiled highlight reel. So you kind of have to watch like 10 seconds at a time.
Oh boy, brutal.
Yeah, it is, because Huddle also is like, they play an ad every time too. So it's like ad, 10-second ad. Okay. So, the ad could be 10 seconds. So that kind of gets, you have to just wait. You have to be patient. I'm not a very patient person, as you can tell. But what I see of that is, again, he just has a nose for the football. He is a magnet for it. I think he's definitely a guy, because of his measurements, is a guy that you can bring in and hopefully develop him into getting to that potential that he sees. Now, Clemson, under Wes Goodwin, and a lot of people doubted him as well. But hey, guess what? The linebacker group for Clemson has been a shining star for them, I believe. In their development, they're going to send Jeremiah Trotter Jr. there. They're returning Barrett Carter because he has some unfinished business as well. Wade Woodaz showed what he could do, and they got some other young guys in there like Jamal Adams and D. Creighton and Kobe McLeod there too.
Jamal Anderson.
Did I say it wrong? Jamal Anderson. You're Adams, but I think that the Wes Goodwin has done a really good job with this group. Now they had some flaws here and there, yeah, for sure, but they locked in towards the end of the season. Those last 4 games were really good. They really crunched in and kind of got back to the level that they could play. Just 1 or 2 missed tackles here and there in some critical moments for sure. You can beat them up about that. And I think that's why Barrett Carter, one of the reasons why he maybe wants to return, because he knows if he cleans that stuff up, he could be a first-round draft pick.
Agree.
And so you could have 2 back-to-back high-round draft picks for Wes Goodwin. You could have Jeremiah Trotter this coming NFL draft, and then you could have Barrett Carter after that. And then following that, you've got Wade Woodaz. Again, like, we love him for sure. He looks great out there all over the ball. And you can bring in Bradley Shaw to add in to get that 3 in there. You think it's important to help with this team, considering, there has been some attrition there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. You always want more numbers. Every position group wants more numbers in recruiting. It's always that way, particularly on the offensive line. But when every other position is the same way. I want to recruit more kids, and it's another one of those deals where this is a guy who's highly thought of. He's got offers from a lot of big schools, and Clemson would be lucky to land this kid, especially late in the process. A lot of the guys are committed already, so it'd be a big recruiting win for Clemson, and another kind of thing to stabilize that linebacking core.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, they still have more to go in the 2024 recruiting class. I still think they're pushing for an offensive lineman out there. He mentioned they're still trying to figure it out. So they have one linebacker, and I think they have one offensive line. And I think that probably wraps up 2024. He didn't mention anybody else, unless there's somebody outstanding that I'm missing. Those are the two positions of need. And I think that obviously what was interesting to me is that you're hearing stuff about Matt Luke going back to those recruits that Clemson missed on initially and saying, hey, just want to make sure
things have changed.
Are you committed? Are you committed? Are you kind of committed? Are you, kind of maybe not committed? You still kind of like to wear orange on Fridays. What's the deal?
Yep.
You wearing our gloves on your in your conference championship, I don't know. In your division championship, I don't know. In your high school state championship, you wearing the Clemson gloves? That's the question. I think that's a good idea too. Were you surprised by that he's going and checking up on some guys that maybe already told him no?
Well, wouldn't surprise me one bit. Situations change constantly in this new landscape of college football. Coaches moving on, new coaches coming in, coaches moving on to other jobs or whatnot. It's always a prudent move to kind of knock on those doors and see what's up.
We got more discussion on the Gator Bowl and some things that came out from the Dabo Swinney press conference. And we're going to have our token Gamecock fan at the end of the this hour as well. So make sure you stick with us here on 105.5 and 97.5, The Roar.
You're clear.
Yeah, that's it. I should say that's it for this class, high school class. But they're still looking at several portal guys. Which would be nice. Oh, well, in particular.
Are you good to do a show next Tuesday?
As far as I know, what's the deal, by the way? Because usually we're off the air by now.
Yeah. Next Tuesday is it.
Okay. I think.
Are we usually off the air by now?
I think so.
He asked me today about when I wanted to stop.
Okay.
And I said, next Tuesday.
Okay. Oh,
Let's see. Oh, Ramona, I got a song I want you to play.
Okay. What's up?
It's an instrumental, so it's no bad.
Okay. Open up your thing here.
I'll put it in the can I put it at the link in the chat?
Oh, in the chat.
In the chat, yeah. In the there. In the
I don't know. It won't.
Can you copy it?
Yeah.
I heard this song and I was like, this is great. This is great instrumental. Any thoughts on the Kid Tiger Paw? Kid Tiger Paw? I don't know. Queese Henderson, the best player out of BHP since Kendall Joseph.
Is it Big X, The Plug, Texas Instrumental?
Yeah.
Got the right one? Okay.
Yeah. It has no words. You have to check it. You can check it though.
So you want to have this added to your thing or play it now?
Yeah, just play it now. Or when we come back.
That's it.
Yeah. I don't know where I saw this, but probably.
Window graphics. So if somebody wants a storefront, they want to brand it. mission statement on the wall and what you want the customers to see when they walk in. What separates us, I would say, is that we're full service, in-house. We do everything from design to printing to installation. We always come out, we meet you, we take a look at the facility, and we get to understand the project. The number one thing is customer satisfaction. We want to put out a quality product. We want people to be happy. We want people to turn around and tell somebody else, hey, these guys, if you go with them, they're going to take care of you. That's what we're all about, is to help other businesses grow their business.
Check them out online at katazoom.com. That's KATA Zoom.com.
Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama. Is that the year Clemson won? 2017, 2018? Clemson was number one, and that must have been Kelly Bryant.
2017.
Yeah.
We won the 2018 season, so it would have been 2018.
Yeah, this was it. Clemson.
Securities and advisory services offered through the Strategic Financial Alliance Inc. Otherwise, unaffiliated with Kiwi Financial.
Hey, yo, Aim. Yeah. Run it up, Londo.
Welcome back into the Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host, Morgan Thomas, here with Big Al, Alan Adams, and Ramona. We got just 30 more minutes or so. You can get in 864-654-7627 on the Adams & Co. Roofing text line, or call in that same number and discuss. Interesting article that I came across is the college football playoff ranking on CBS Sports. They were ranking the past top 4 playoff teams, the final 4. And now I couldn't hear you when you
there
said
it is.
Oh, there you go. But they were ranking it. Now, for me, I would probably rank, the best Final 4 as like the Clemson ones where they won.
Of course,
because
yeah, why
Clemson,
not?
just because, why not, right? They have as their number 1. Can you guess?
I'm guessing it's probably Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's what they have. They have Joe Burrow and LSU, and then Ohio State number 2. And then Clemson, number 3. Oklahoma was number 4 that year. Obviously, Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, just a stacked team. Ohio State had Justin Fields. Clemson, as you know, had Trevor Lawrence. Oklahoma had then transfer quarterback Jalen Hurts. So, I mean, that's actually a pretty good lineup there.
Yeah.
Overall,
Sure.
top to bottom.
Mhm.
When I look back and you look at the one where Clemson won, it was Alabama was 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, Oklahoma 4, and that's the one where Clemson, just beat up Alabama at the end in San Francisco. So I like that one a ton. Trevor Lawrence took over from Kelly Bryant, who got to the playoffs, but was a one and done there. And I mean, they have that lineup there 5th best.
That's low.
You don't think so?
Sounds low.
The second best one is the one where Clemson was number 1, 2017, 2018. That was the one with Kelly Bryant.
Okay.
So Kelly Bryant and Clemson, and then Oklahoma was number 2, Georgia number 3, and Alabama number 4. So in the top 5, you've got 3 that involve Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
3 out of the top 5 involve Clemson of those top Final 4s. I think every time, it was funny, there's been a lot more controversy this year, but every time that Clemson was in it, I felt like also the top 4 teams were in it. I didn't feel like there really wasn't any controversy until the final year.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of it this year. I missed that whole discussion last week. But
isn't it kind of weird how they got through it with no controversy until the very last year?
I mean, there was controversy way back in the beginning when Ohio State got in over TCU or Baylor.
Oh, yeah.
When either one of those should be picked ahead of Ohio State. And it's funny because even at the time, I was like, Ohio State doesn't even deserve to be in this field, and they're going to win the whole thing. And they did win the whole thing. It's the same thing I think about Alabama this year. I feel like they're going to win the whole thing, and they shouldn't be in there either.
Was that the year where Ohio State basically had a bye because they didn't play in their championship game? I always hated that.
Yeah,
you're letting a team in that didn't play in a championship game.
It's awful.
That really bothered me. Like giving a team a bye is
I agree.
Not my big thing. Another thing that they were talking about was the top freshman of the 2023 season. They have Caleb Downs from Alabama.
Okay.
I think you could probably give it to him for sure. One of the top freshmen out there.
Oh,
big
yeah.
time.
Huge
Big time
recruit.
guy.
Yep.
You know, Clemson offered him. I don't know if there was much there. I know he was a big fight between him and Georgia because he's originally from Georgia, and it was like they traded players there. So, you know, Clemson or Alabama got him there. Another guy on the list, Kevin Concepcion, wide receiver from North Carolina State. I don't think that I had him on my radar at all for being like a star wide receiver, and he really showed up and shined for them.
Yep.
You know, especially later on in the season, had good games against North Carolina, obviously against Clemson as well, Virginia. So ended up having a ton of yards this season, and you know, you could see him. He'd be the. Do you feel like is North Carolina State one of those teams kind of similar? You feel like with MJ Morris and the way he did, where they're not an elite team that you would normally think of. So if you get good, then test the waters. You know, in today's world, go get in the free agency.
Yeah, everybody's doing it, right?
You know, I hate to say it, but it's like, you know, is NC State one of those teams where you're like, I'm good. Let me go test the waters and get out of here.
The farm system.
Yeah, you let them be your farm system.
Yeah.
Do you like that style or that mindset?
No.
Hate it.
No. Well, you know my stance on all of it. So no.
You hate it. Okay.
Yeah, I hate it all.
I can understand it. I mean, I can see it if you've been at a team for 4 years. I can see that. You've already graduated, stuff like that. Like if you've given that team that spent all this money and time and effort to develop you, and even if you're a freshman and you just hit it hot starting out, I mean, they took a chance on you when other teams didn't, and you took a chance on them too. So, you know, there's a commitment there that I think you should see through.
Sure.
I would like to see that, you know, they fix the tampering part of it. You know, everybody it's not really that the NIL, Dabo said this, not the NIL is not the problem. The transfer portal is not really the problem. It's that the way that they're getting into it and the way that they're getting manipulated and the tampering behind the scenes to basically pull a guy away from someplace. Even he might even be happy.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, I'm happy here, but I could be happy there and make $700,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there.
Sure. 100%.
I could make a lot more money and be happy there, or I could be miserable and make a lot more money because more money would make me kind of happy, I guess. I don't know. More money, more problems. That's what I say.
That's right.
That's why I don't make a lot of money. I say, hey, more money, more problems. Don't give it to me.
Yeah.
I would just blow it anyways. Two more big-time freshmen that I think are good for Miami. You know, their offensive lineman. I'm not going to be able to say his name right. But then you have Reuben Bain, Jr., defensive lineman.
Yep.
Their right tackle and their defensive lineman, two on the line of scrimmage. They're just killing it there. So I like that. I like what I see from Miami with those true freshmen out there doing well. I think that overall, Clemson didn't have any names on the list, but you could make a case for Tyler Brown.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, he was really that solid go-to guy that you could trust for Cade Klubnik when he didn't have a lot to trust.
Yeah.
And were you surprised? I mean, he wasn't a highly recruited guy. He wasn't like a big-time 5-star guy is what I mean. He was definitely heavily recruited by a lot of schools.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a big-time, 5-star guy. But I think that when you look at his film when we went out and watched him at Greenville, he did great.
Yeah.
And so he might even been the best wide receiver on the team, controversially speaking, when it comes to our token Gamecock fan. But
yeah.
I think that Tyler Brown is in the mix for being one of the better freshmen in 2023.
Yeah, he is for sure. And I mean, I think the issue with him was the fact that he did so good in a couple of games, particularly the Syracuse game. I remember him making play after play in the Syracuse game. And then, he tailed off a little bit after that. We weren't able to count on him quite as much as we were before. He was making absolutely every catch near the middle of the season. And then he had a few drops there near the end of the season. Balls, he should have caught, and he knows it. But he's a great player, man, and he's going to be absolutely huge for the Clemson offense next season. I think they're going to be able to build the offense around him, and hopefully, Antonio Williams is back. Maybe we get some more back, when Cole Turner gets back. Clemson was injured again at the wide receiver position this year, and we just can't seem to get out of that. And if you come to next season, you have an influx of new talent with these 2 new recruits we have. You get an extra year for Tyler Brown, and then you have Antonio Williams, you have Cole Turner. Hopefully we finally see the Adam Randall we've all been waiting on, and then Troy Stellato, a guy that nobody thought was ever going to play here at Clemson, and he had a great year himself. I think Clemson, although they don't necessarily have, it's not that I'm saying they're back to wide receiver U or anything of the sort, but I think they've got options.
He said it.
I think they've got options.
They're back. Are we going to get those shirts like that say "We're back" when they finally get back? Because we know they're going to get back eventually.
I don't want.
Have like wide receiver U on the back and then say "We're back" on the front. No?
They probably will. I'm sure they'll be around.
Sell them.
I won't have them.
We should copyright that. We should trademark that. We're back, wide receiver U. I think that Clemson, I think there are a lot of fans out there just eager to see Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore added to the mix.
Guilty.
And I get nervous. Okay. I'm a nervous guy.
Yeah.
I get nervous because, well, first of all, I say whatever is on the top of my head, which is not a good thing. But then also I get nervous because I don't want to put all of my trust and hope and faith into true freshman wide receivers.
Fair point.
Because for the most part, true freshman wide receivers. Now I know what you're going to say in the Adams & Co Roofing text line, and yes, this is true. But they do have to play behind other guys. But I think for the most part, true freshman wide receivers that just come on the scene and just kill it and go for 1,000 yards or even 700 yards is not common. No. The Concepcions of the world, not common. When you look at teams out there that have those guys, it's really, your top guys that would be true freshmen would be the Concepcions of the world. I think there's another one from Hawaii. Hawaii's got a big time passing offense there. I think he was the leader. And so there are guys there, but most of the time, at least if you look at 2023 as the benchmark, they're the best you could probably look for is maybe right under 700 yards receiving. So if Wesco comes in and gets you 700 yards receiving, you happy?
Yeah.
I think so.
Season 1, of course. Yeah.
I think so too. I mean, if he's up there in the mix of the best freshman wide receiver, because to me, it's not so much that he needs to become the star. So this is what I keep telling myself. It's not so much that he needs to take over everything and just put everything on his shoulders.
Right.
Or even TJ Moore. It's that he needs to be a supplement to those guys and be a distraction to the secondary.
He needs to flash.
He needs to be enough of a problem.
Yeah.
And same with TJ Moore. They both need to be enough of a problem early on in the season because Clemson's got hard games starting out.
Yeah.
They need to be enough of a problem to where it frees up Antonio Williams and Cole Turner and Tyler Brown. They need to free up Jake Brenningstool. The guys that have been there, the veterans, they're going to be your stars.
Yeah.
But these young guys got to come in. I think they need to be able to get established quickly so that they can be that decoy or distraction or whatever it may be. Maybe they don't have to be carrying everything.
Yeah.
But I do worry about treating them as if it's going to be a savior to the offense.
Yeah. That's unrealistic.
I don't think that they can either one of them can just jump on and be the number one wide receiver and have the 1,000 yards and be the Sammy Watkins.
Yeah. I'm not saying they can't, but yeah, it's unlikely. I think you're right.
But what happens is everybody says, well, there was always a Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
So, Mork, you don't doubt him. There's always that Sammy Watkins could happen. It could happen for sure.
I hope so.
But I would say I'd like to see, I really feel like the guys that are there that have shown what they can do, I think that they can come in and kind of develop the team as a whole. We kind of go back to the same thing that Matt Luke said about the offensive line, where it's, you don't want 5 pennies, you want a whole nickel.
Yep.
It's the same thing with the wide receivers. You probably wouldn't have 5 out there. So you'd say, maybe I don't want 3 pennies. I want, well, that analogy doesn't work.
Don't go there.
Let me see. What's another? There's nothing else that works. I don't want 5 pennies out. I want a whole nickel. Maybe there's a foreign currency that has 3. I don't know. Where's a 3-cent coin? Give me a 3-cent.
Oh boy.
$2 bill. I don't want 2 $1. I want a whole $2 bill out.
There you go.
Do you like that one?
You can do the spread offense.
Does it
And
work?
I don't want 4 quarters. I want $1. How about that?
Does that still work?
4 quarters does equal $1.
Yes, yes, that
yeah,
still works.
yeah.
That still works. So I don't want the spread. I don't want the 4 quarters, Al. I don't want the 4. I don't want the 4.
That's a long way to go. That's around the block to get across the street.
Gosh.
Well, you know what? This is how it is. This is how it is on the night shift. You know, I mean,
It's like
I didn't get my Monster. I didn't get my energy drink. You know, I'm only allowed one a day. So
This is our Seinfeld show. It's a show about nothing.
Yeah. Well, hey, don't do that, Al, because if it's a show about nothing, then you have people call in and talk about nothing, and then that.
we don't want that now.
We don't want that. No. We don't want that, Bob. We don't want that. Don't talk about nothing. Again, I appreciate everyone listening in and being a part of our crazy madness here. You can also be a part of it as well. 864-654-7627, or call in that number. Adams & Co Roofing text line. You can text it. You can also be a part of all my antics over on social media. I usually am on Twitter at The Morgan T Show most of the time, and follow me in my videos over on YouTube at The Morgan Thomas Show over on YouTube. I try to put stuff out there. My last video was about Barrett Carter and how big that was. You know, Dabo Swinney talked about recruiting from the NFL. He stole a six-star player from the NFL. I think that was crucial for them because, you know, losing Trotter and Carter, you really lose all of your experience there. That would have been a big time shift. I wouldn't say it would be detrimental, but that would have been a big time loss for Clemson if Carter didn't come back.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, exactly what you were saying. You lose a lot of experience. I mean, you still have Woodaz coming back, so that would be a big deal. And, you know, I think a lot of people are doing what you're trying not to do with the receivers and putting a lot on Sammy Brown coming in. That people are thinking he's going to be a superstar right away, and maybe he is. I certainly hope so. But you would have to bank on it almost if you lost Carter and Trotter. You know, unless of course maybe it's time for Creighton to step up into that role. Maybe it's time for Jamal Anderson to step up in that role. Doesn't matter to me as long as they're making plays. So I'm hopeful that those guys are able to come in and do well. And you know whether you know Bradley Shaw commits to Clemson or we know Sammy Brown's coming and Drew Woodaz coming, so there's a lot of talent coming in, and hopefully they'll be able to get on the field early.
We've got our final segment coming up right after this. We're going to bring in our token Gamecock fan and even discuss some Clemson men's basketball, currently #1 in the ACC right now, or tied, I guess you could say, in the conference rankings, but 9-0 overall when you look at the overall ratings records there. We'll talk about that and more right after this.
Medicare.
You're clear.
She said 2 words, doghouse. Oh boy.
Every single day to get the benefits you deserve. How do you make sense of it all? It's confusing, frustrating, and even overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be.
So on Twitter, for whatever reason, I get these videos of 1,000 ways to die. And they're like some of the worst things. I watched this video, Al, of this dancer, like pop singing dancer from North Korea, or not North Korea, but like a Korean dancer, I guess.
Okay.
And they're somewhere, and a giant, as they're dancing on stage, a giant LED like TV monitor from the rafters falls on this dude as he's dancing. I mean, I don't want to follow this page, but I can't turn away from it. Like, I'm like, I gotta see these crazy things. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's kind of great. It's nuts.
I mean, some of this stuff is like, you know, like some people have some, I complain about my job. Some of these, and they're like doing jobs.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, I mean, like some of these jobs that people do are extremely dangerous. And go figure the ad about, if you heard on the job, Nick Lavery. I got to see, I'm trying to see if I can find it for you so you can see the dancer.
Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Sky Rizzy. Risen Kissing on Rizza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults or candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Oh, you know what? I gotta get my Jeff Murdoch in. I don't know a Jeff Murdoch. Do you know? Let's see. Netflix top 10.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for an infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Sky Rizzy, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Sky Rizzy, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizzy.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZY to learn more.
Clemson fans, this is former Clemson national champion Ben Boulware. If you've been looking for your fitness home, look no further than the Junkyard. The best group
Leave the World Behind.
Best community
I haven't seen
Mario Brothers.
I have seen
Family Switch.
Not yet.
Hated it.
You didn't like it?
I know you're gonna watch it, but it's 13 going on 30.
I was about to say
And they make jokes about it.
Okay, well that's cool. I like that.
Like they make like
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you will get the joke there. They say something about like that movie, whatever. I don't know. Leo.
You told me about it.
Yeah, don't watch it. I never seen that.
I've seen it. It wasn't.
Never seen it. You seen that?
Mm-hmm. It was okay. Nope. Nope.
The reviews
are
Mr.
no.
Clean Vacuum Cleanser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Set. I'm sure you haven't seen that.
Nope.
Obliterated.
I've seen that actually.
Set.
Is that
It's all about drinking in Vegas.
kinda?
Is it like
They're trying to save the world. They're trying to save Vegas.
Oh, okay. Bad Surgeon.
No.
Squid Game.
No, I
That's
saw
got a Clemson player in it.
Yeah.
Or the,
Brighton Constantine.
and they hated him. People hated him.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know.
Apparently he was a jerk.
Here's Tom Hill from Kalamazoo Warehouse.
Well, Murdoch left.
Yeah, he did.
So that if they have a tight budget, we can work within that tight budget. What separates us, I would say, is that we're full service in-house to do everything from design to printing to installation. The number one thing is customer satisfaction. We want to put out a quality product. We want people to do that. We want people to turn around and tell somebody else, hey, these guys, go with them and take care of them. If we wrap a vehicle, somebody in turn starts to
Your buddy's on the line.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about, is to help other businesses grow their business.
Check them out online at katazoom.com. That's KATA Zoom.com.
Welcome back into the final segment of the Morgan Thomas Show here on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar. We've got our token Gamecock fan in, and we're to bring him on. Dylan.
Well, hello.
Hello. Dylan, we haven't talked about the Clemson men's basketball team. I wanted to kind of hold that and obviously bring that out because, they're 9-0. One of the 9 was a big-time 72-67 win over your South Carolina Gamecocks. They followed that up by, honestly, a stressful win over TCU. I mean, it was like it wasn't looking good there at first, back and forth, and then they kind of took it away later on. And now they've got the next 3 games up. They've got to go face Memphis, which they're predicted to be the underdog there, according to ESPN, Big Al.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Queens University. They are predicted to be a heavy favorite there. And then Radford Highlanders, they're also predicted to be a heavy favorite. So according to the matchup predictor, Clemson got a tough matchup at Memphis coming up in just 4 days on December the 16th, this Saturday. But then 2 other of the three before they then hit the ACC and get into Miami and North Carolina. Speaking of that, on the South Carolina side of things, they're 7-1. So the only loss there to Clemson. They came back and rebounded against East Carolina, 68-62. And they've got Charleston Southern, Winthrop, and Elon up next. You think South Carolina men's basketball? You know, everybody talks about the women's basketball team, but that men's basketball team now 8-1 and second best record in the SEC.
You know, it's a good start. You know, but just like with Clemson, it gets tougher once you start playing those in-conference games. You know, I think Winthrop will be a big game for us. You know, it doesn't sound that way, but it's an in-state game. And furthermore, it's, you know, Winthrop's one of those teams that kind of makes the tournament, if not every year, every other year, it seems. For Clemson, you know, that Memphis game will be a big one, but Radford, I can't remember if it was last year or maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Radford made the tournament and had a little run where they won 1 or 2 games. So it's, you know, playing those mid-majors teams, it's not always the walk in the park you think it is sometimes. So I know with basketball, it's every game counts, it seems like these days. So.
Yeah, and it really, you know, if you get on a bad run there, you have a couple of turnovers here and there, it could really be a frustration for you for the rest of the night. Now, you have, again, you said –
free throws.
Yeah, free throws as well. You have Charleston Southern, big-time favorite there. Then you have Winthrop, which is not telling me what the spread is yet. Winthrop, also you're a favorite, and Elon, a favorite. And then before you get into the SEC, you're another big-time favorite over Florida A&M, which they're just 2-5. So, yeah, the next 4 games, you could be. What is that now? It's 12. So you could very easily be 12-1 before
you said they were 7-1, right? That would make
they're 8-1 right now.
Okay, you said 7-1 earlier.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. They were 7-1 when they played Clemson, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So
we were 7-0 when we played Clemson.
Yeah. Then they were 7-1 after that. Yeah. So I was just looking at the wrong screen. So you have South Carolina 8-1 right now with 4 games up before the SEC conference starts. You could easily be heading in still just with 1 loss heading into the conference. You know,
and that'd be great for us. And honestly, it'd be great for Clemson. You know, if we could move, they've already got the win over Alabama. So if South Carolina continues their progression, it would makes the Tigers look that much better. And if Clemson, and it works both ways, kind of like a dual-edged sword. The Tigers continue to perform well. South Carolina's only losses to them, it's going to make them look that much better too. That's one of the beauties of, you know, the eye test in basketball as opposed to in football. A lot of people, you know, it's kind of, well, what did I see? Well, 2 or 3 months later, it might not matter, i.e. Alabama, as it did at the beginning of the year. But games for basketball, these little games matter, especially at the end of the year when they're trying to figure out what's a quad 1, what's a quad 2, and so forth.
And it's hard. I mean, you like it, like you mentioned South Carolina, you kind of want to root for them. No, Hal? No. Okay. Never mind. You don't want to root for South Carolina, but if they continue to keep winning, then Clemson's win against them looks even better, which is what Dylan is saying.
That's
so
what
I agree with that, even though you don't want to root for that.
That's right. And I was actually in Little John Coliseum. I took my youth group to go watch the Clemson South Carolina basketball game. And I tell you, electric environment in Little John. It was a little rough at a halftime. You know, obviously South Carolina, I think they were 11 point lead or something like that at halftime.
They had a good lead for most of the game.
They did.
Slip.
They did. I think it was about halfway through the second half. We turned it on.
I hope you get onto your youth group about free throws because South Carolina missed some key free throws towards the end of that game.
Sure.
And you already know, Big Al. You know our stories. So
yeah, it was a fun game to watch. It really was. There was a lot. I mean, just a lot of electricity in the atmosphere there. Little John, when it's packed out, it's a big game like that. It's a really awesome environment. It was fun to be a part of for sure. So, and I thought South Carolina looked like a really good team. I was really impressed with them. I thought they're an awesome looking team coming off the bus. I mean, they've got some really big athletic looking guys. And I remember saying something to one of my youth in shoot around, like, man, these guys look big. You know, they kind of look like some of those old Florida State teams. You know, they have some good length and athleticism to them. And it was just, it was fun to watch. It was a slow first half for Clemson, especially offensively, but they were able to get it going in the second half and scored a ton of points and got the win. So it was good for them.
All right. Switching gears here, Dylan, we're talking about bowl season coming up.
We got the wrong guy on for that, don't we?
Oh,
I see what
ouch.
you did there.
Ouch. Ouch.
Wowzers.
You want to hang up now?
No, I'm okay. I'll survive. We have an offensive touchdown at least this year.
You know, I've never done that to you. You know, I've always been more cordial than that. But, you know, I've never given you that kind of bad. Wow.
I expected Alan. That Jerry Newman concept. We've been doing that for years.
I just teed him up for that one. Wow. Let's talk about things that you're not used to, which is the bowl game slate coming up that you probably don't have to watch. Now, for a person who doesn't have a team in the mix, what's your number one game you're looking forward to? And you can't pick college football playoff game.
Good question.
Okay. You know, obviously, if you don't take the playoff game, I guess the game you want to watch is the game that probably should be the playoff game, you know, Florida State and Georgia. You know, to see if Florida State's defense really is, you know, as good as they advertised in that ACC championship game.
Well, now, wait a minute. Let me stop you. You don't think that neither one of these teams are really going to be interested? I mean, this could be a disaster because both these teams, I mean, you know, everybody says, oh, man, they're going to be fighting for honor. They're going to be out to prove everyone wrong. Well, what if they're not? What if they're just like, we don't want to be here?
They come out flat.
Yeah.
What if both of them?
I see that sense out of Georgia, kind of like Auburn did when UCF went undefeated that year. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see them. But when Auburn came out flat in that bowl game because they'd lost the SEC, I could see that from Georgia. I think Florida State still wants to prove that they belong, even with the third or second string quarterback or the guy that they pull out of the stands at halftime. I mean, whoever it is, I really think that they want to prove they belong on the field and that they should have been in the playoff. Georgia, you know, their only loss in a couple years came right there at the end. It's, you know, I hate to say it, but it happens. But I'm interested to see a couple of fun, you know, I like the smaller bowls, honestly. I feel like you get more action out of that because you got guys trying to prove that they belong to the NFL or whatever, you know?
Yeah, talking about the smaller bowls, I mean, my goodness, we got the bowl slate coming up, the bowl picks that Ben Milstead says I got to get in by 1:00 on Thursday this week. He's got Ohio, Georgia Southern, Louisiana, Jacksonville State, Miami of Ohio, App State, Fresno State, New Mexico State, Boise State, UCLA, Cal versus Texas Tech, Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion, and Marshall versus UTSA. How am I going to pick any of these games? I mean, these are the games that are coming up this weekend. I mean, I don't know anything about any of these teams. So should I just stay away from any of it? I mean, obviously I have to do the bowl pick 'em for the Roar, but if you're a betting man, I mean, I don't know anything about these teams.
Look at it from a logistical standpoint. You know, you don't need to know who plays third string wide receiver. You just need to look at the stats. Okay, well, what has this team done for the year? And you kind of base that off of that. And then you just check to see who's going and who's not playing. Because, you know, the thing about these bowl games, half the team doesn't play and then half the team does play. And he wants to sit out. Well, he's going to transfer. And
how easy is it to determine that in today's day and age? I mean, It used to be you would just worry about the guys going to the NFL. Now you have so many other things to play. Big Al, if you did this, if you were in this, I mean, how would you approach this Saturday's slate of games? I mean, I don't know any of these. I'm not Walt. Okay. I don't have, 48 hours in every day to watch all these teams.
Yeah. My recommendation would be to listen to Walt's show.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That is a cheat code right there. You could do that. Ramona, can you make sure to label the show where Walt makes all his picks?
Sure.
Can you make sure to put it that like in bold letters, big, all caps, like these are, and could you say like attention, Morgan on the podcast?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
ATTN : Morgan bowl picks right here. So then not only will I know, but everyone will know.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe Ramona, you know, what are your thoughts? I mean, these are the not common teams.
I don't have any. I haven't looked at them.
Oh, okay. She's holding.
Oh no, I never win the bowl contest.
You never win the bowl contest?
No, I don't know why.
It's her year this year.
Yeah, I wonder why it's so different from the season versus the bowl.
I don't know. Maybe
is it because of the rosters are so completely different?
That must be it. That's it. That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it. That'll work.
So, of any of those, I mean, Dylan, is there any this Saturday that you're just like, one of these lesser teams out there you're looking forward to see? I mean, I would honestly like to see Jacksonville State again after they played South Carolina really well. I'd like to see Appalachian State, of course.
Right. I'm sitting here looking right now, sir. I think there are a couple games out there, you know. I'd like to see Louisville play again after coming off that loss against Southern Cal, USC, and Louisville. I think that'd either be a barn burner or just something terrible to watch.
All right. Hey, we've got
there's
just about 1 minute to go here. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the two teams that'll make it to the championship game. I know I told you not to pick the college football playoff, but I'm going to let you do it. Two teams.
All right.
You don't have to give me your champ.
Washington.
You can give me your champ next week.
Beating Texas because I like Penix, dude. There's nothing I've seen from him that I don't like yet. And I think Alabama's going to expose Michigan. Michigan hadn't seen a mobile quarterback, and Bama's got one. I think that's the difference.
And you
With
think
that, I'll let you fellas have it.
You think Alabama's going to make it back in? I appreciate it, Dylan. Thanks for being in, and he's our token Gamecock fan. You know, we give him some time there, even though Al, man, you just really you just
had to be done.
Man, you just really let him down easy, didn't you?
I love him too, but it had to be done.
Oh man. Well, you know, not every team can make it to 6 wins.
It's true.
I mean, some teams have to have 5. Thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. We got one more show to go. Ben Milstead's going to allow me to do next Tuesday as well, and then we'll wrap it up for the season where we'll go back to YouTube and do our show from there. So for everyone that has enjoyed listening, thank you so much. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.
WCCP-FM 105.5.
You're done.
Thank you. I thought I was going to get it in.
How you missed that?
I don't know.